So I worked at a bowling alley, but I worked midnights. And so I run the counters and I gave out the lanes and I gave out the shoes, and at nighttime I was the janitor, so I worked midnights. But this group of girls came in, and I had broken up with my other girlfriend. So I was just kind of scoping out the lanes, and I saw somebody that I didn't realize that I saw before, but she knew that she saw me before, so there's a backstory on her side that leads up to this night, so I'll let her tell that.
Okay, so we went bowling, Cindy and I went bowling, and we were getting our shoes on to leave, and I had a friend that was flirting with him, and he got embarrassed because he was dating a girl at that time, and he wouldn't flirt back, and so Shelly was flirting with him and embarrassed him, and he dropped a beer bottle. When he dropped the beer bottle, he had to sweep it up, and I'm sitting right there. Here I am, and here he is sweeping up the beer glass, and I sat there and watched him, and I thought, man, he'd be good looking if he would just shave and cut his hair and wear nicer clothes. And that's what I thought. Well, months later, I went back, when I say month, 4 weeks later or whatever, went back, and I had a cute haircut, and we all felt so cute, and everybody was staring at us, and I told Shelly and Cindy, the next person who stares at me, I am going to stare right back at them. And they laughed, and they said, you will not. So we went to the bowling alley, and we were bowling. There you go.
Okay, so from here, we're going to play like a drinking game. Every time I say Babe Ruth, you guys take a bite of Babe Ruth.
Oh no.
Okay. And so you don't have to like chew it and eat it hard and swallow it whole. I mean, chew it and make sure it's really well chewed.
Okay.
So with this, I'm just a guy, and I'm looking at all the women, and I happen to look over at this group, and you know, of course I had checked her out. Now she's staring back at me. Well, I start staring back at her. And she makes me nervous. So I said, I went over to the candy machine. Ka-choom, Babe Ruth. Now while I'm going to the candy machine, Babe Ruth, she's staring at me. And all I can think of, I must look really stupid eating this Babe Ruth. And I can't wait till I finish eating this Babe Ruth. So about the time I swallow that Babe Ruth, I take another bite. My Babe Ruth. Looking like I'm chewing my cud. The whole time, eye contact. I can't lose eye contact, thinking I'm looking really stupid. That's my Babe Ruth story. Okay, so I'll finish the story. She comes up to pay for her bowling because I'm running the counter. And I took my chance. Passed her a card, And I said, "You put your number down on there, I'll call you." And she gave me this aghast look like, "How dare you ask me for my number?" She didn't say it, but she gave me that look. Of course, I'm frightened anyway. And I go, and then I said, "Okay, well, you don't have to." And I pull it back. She goes,
But I want to.
"But I want to." So she gave me her number. And so the next day, I worked midnights. So I was going to call her. And she's got a story behind this too, but I was going to call her. And so I get up because I slept all morning and in the afternoon because I worked midnights. And I called where she was at, and I said, "Well, she went to," I called her on the phone, and somebody answered. I guess it was a home phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back then.
Didn't have cell phones back then. And the person that she was staying with, her mother said, they went bowling. I said, "Oh, good." So I went to the bowling alley. She's nowhere to be found. Well, there's only 3 bowling alleys in town. So I went to every bowling alley in town. And sure enough, she was at one of the bowling alleys, but she wasn't at the bowling alley that we just met at the night before where I worked at. And so she can give you the backstory why she did that.
Because we thought he would call me around 12, 1, 2 o'clock. 6 o'clock came, and Cindy's like, "You gonna wait around for him to call?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, let's go bowling." I said, "I'm not going to that bowling alley." She said, "Okay." And so we went to another bowling alley, and we were bowling. Wee. And then Cindy looks up and said, "Liz." I said, "What?" "He's here." "Who's here?" I turned around, and there he was, and my heart went.
So we went on a date. That was our first date.
Aww.
It was sweet. Okay, that was the story.
Okay, that was it.
Charlie finished his Babe Ruth just about as fast as Dad probably did that night.
I didn't realize how many times I was saying Babe Ruth. Mine was like,
I know.
That was I couldn't even swallow it. I was just
No, I made eye contact with the other side.
oh, I hope he got, well, yeah,
It's on there.
camera, so.
So, how did you and Abby meet?
How did we?
What do
Oh,
you
yeah.
mean, Mom?
No, it's
I was there.
so no, first day of school I got sat next to her. And then she got in trouble by a teacher. And I thought that was pretty funny. So I was like, "Why were you getting in trouble?" And she said, "I don't know." And so we talked for like 4 weeks. And then we just moved seats. And then we didn't talk for like 2 months. And then she got randomly sat next to me again. And so we were talking. And then we talked for a few months while sitting there because we didn't change seats for a while. And we were just... Yeah.
Just met in class, man.
Yeah.
It happens.
So I have an attachment to Babe Ruth.
I
Is
think
she
that's
your
fair.
Babe Ruth?
Aww.
You have a candy, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Those
He's
speech
not
gives
answering.
you cavities. I'm kidding.
But it's one of those things like right now. I got a mouthful. And you feel stupid talking and looking.
That
Just
was,
make eye contact with her again.
that was really funny. She said, "Oh, only if he shaved and cut his hair." That's what everybody says about me.
Charles, shave and cut your hair. I
No.
bet you'll be a babe.
No.
Oh yeah.
I did forget
Let me
that
wax your
part.
eyebrows.
When I went back to the bowling alley, they
The girls.
about the hair, about the phone number and stuff. Shelley said, "You know who that is, don't you?" And I said, "No." She said, "Dan Sumner." And I said, "Who's Dan Sumner?" And she said, "The guy I was flirting with." I said, that's not Dan Sumner. And she said, yes, it is. I said, no, that guy had red hair and long hair. I said, that's not Dan Sumner. So she went up and asked him his name. He said, Dan Sumner. I was
because he had a haircut.
shocked. He had his hair cut. He was baby face. And his big blue eyes was shining. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
And I had abs back then.
Don't say it like that.
Daddy, you had a 6-pack, now you got a keg. Oh, yeah.
I never had a 6-pack.
Me neither.
I didn't even have the genetics for one.
Sure you do.
Mm-mm.
I could get a 6-pack.
You
So
gave me
who has heard that
4-pack.
story before? You heard it before.
I've heard it from Nana's point of view. I've
Mhm.
never heard it from your
Yeah,
point
I've heard
of
it from hers. Never yours.
I've heard it from Papa's, except for he didn't give me a candy bar. He sat there and he was
This
literally
was the best
doing this.
one, right?
Doing the imitation. I was biting into the baby Ruth. So you chewing like a
So
cow.
this version is like way better, right?
It is because
Yes.
you get to experience how chewy they are.
Yeah.
Dropping all over your shirt.
I would feel kind of silly too. Oh wait,
Is it on daily?
have you
It
seen
is.
that thing where they
No.
back camera?